And for more, we have our correspondent Jessica Taneja joining us. Well, Jessica, our Prime Minister reaches Moscow today for the 22nd India-Russia Annual Bilateral Summit, which is taking place after a gap of 3 years. What all is on the agenda?
That's correct. He's meeting the Russian president with a gap of 3 years, as you rightly pointed out, and his visit to Moscow in the last 5 years. As you recall, he was in Russia in 2019 during the Vladivostok summit, the Eastern Economic Forum summit, and a lot of important deals were signed. Even then, particularly the Vladivostok-Chennai, the corridor, and we could expect from the delegation level talks to have more fruitful, the conversation around how the trade ties could be diversified, as to what are the two countries looking forward to strengthen their strategic partnership. So lots on the agenda today, and as you heard from the report, the entire day is packed for the Prime Minister. He will be received by the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia on his arrival in Moscow in the afternoon today, and after that we are expecting the Prime Minister to reach the hotel, which is Ritz-Carlton, where he'll be greeted by the Indian diaspora right behind me on the streets. By the afternoon, Nepalshi, the street would be filled with the enthusiast Indian community who are waiting to welcome him. And after that, of course, we know he will be meeting with the Russian president, and soon the day follows with packed diplomatic parley.
All right. Also, Jessica, why is this visit so significant in the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and how can it potentially influence the regional security dynamics?
Right, and that has been a point of consideration during this visit, but if you recall, India's position on the entire confrontation has been the same. India advocates for diplomacy and dialogue, and perhaps if you recall, the Prime Ministers had conversation with both Russian President Vladimir Putin as well as the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the past, hoping for a resolve, an impasse, and something that could end this impasse soon. And in fact, India has been offered in the past to mediate in the talks as well. So an important role there played by the Indian Prime Minister to be the mediator in order to, take the initiative forward with the multipolar world, since this conflict has caused much economic damage since its onset 2 years ago. So a lot, of course, a lot of focus of the West will also be particularly on the kind of regional and security issues that will be discussed between the two nations. But more importantly, the bilateral talks would focus on enhancing trade ties beyond the energy and the defense sector. Now, the energy and the defense sector are two areas where India and Russia have cooperated for many years, leaving out the energy sector, which of course has been seeing a massive uptick in the last 2 years. So much so that because of the discounted Russian crude, India has been able to save approximately $13 billion. So that certainly has been strengthening the relationship, taking the bilateral ties between the two nations to nearly $65 billion. And that is something which India and Russia would want to enhance further.
Right. As you said, the bilateral talks will be there to enhance further. How has the India-Russia relationship, if we talk about, evolved since Prime Minister Modi's last visit in 2019?
Well, if you recall, the Foreign Secretary Vinay Kwatra had said last week, and I quote, he said, "This is the highest mechanism to steer and drive cooperation between our two countries." And with that, he of course meant that India and Russia share historic strategic ties, starting from defense approximately 70 years ago, in the 90s as well, and in the 70s as well. You'd recall how Russia has been a crucial partner to India, especially when it comes to military ties. But over the years, the two countries have been able to diversify beyond military trade as well. If you look at the commercial trade, which was limited to a few $1 billion relating to pharmaceuticals, chemicals, textiles. So this time the discussion could also be centered around how to take forward that particular, to focus on those particular areas, and apart from that, also look at how the two countries could probably look forward to more engagements in the future. Remember, this is the 22nd annual summit between the two, and this annual summit is quite unique, quite a unique format between the two leaders. That India and Russia have. It's not the bilateral relationship is not the same for all countries, even though India maintains strategic autonomy and has good relationships and ties with almost all other major powers. Right. That also includes Russia. So India has been able to sort of take forward its strategic relationships in a manner where it doesn't disrupt any other.
Right. Thank you so much, Jessica, for all that update from there. And moving on, Supreme Court of